First, I'll just start off by saying Bryce Love didn't make it today. As many of you have heard, he's taking classes right now and training, and just want to let him finish off this off season. Excited that he's back. He'll have a chance to talk to everybody here shortly. But I think talking to Bryce in anticipation of some of the questions they may get, preparing for this year, had a lot of practice with this, with Andrew Luck coming back, with Christian McCaffrey going from his sophomore All-American year, coming back for his junior year. Had a good chance to talk to Bryce and talk about, this year's can't be about stats. And he broke a lot of records last year, did some phenomenal things last year. This year's about him getting bigger, stronger, being more versatile, different things that adding to his game. We're not going to do the Bryce Love stat watch, and that's going to be the majority of questions he's going to get during the course of the year. Of course, is, well, you're on pace for this, which is maybe different than what you were last year. That's not going to be in our thinking. I'm just preparing him for those questions because that's not going to be our focus. Our focus is going to be on having the best team we can have, the most well-rounded team we can have, the most balanced offense we can have, as well as having one of the most explosive running backs in the history of college football, because that's what that year was for Bryce, with 12 games. Every single game he had at least one run of 30 yards or more, and 10 out of the 12 he had runs of 50 yards or more. I don't know if that's ever happened in college football, so we don't know if it's going to happen again. So that's not going to be our focus. Our focus is going to be on what we can do every single week to make sure he's at our best and that we are at our best. Ready for questions? Or did I answer them all? I was not surprised. I wouldn't have been surprised either way because both had legitimate arguments for him to leave or come back. In my heart of hearts, if I had to guess what he would have done, I would have guessed that he would have come back. Just knowing that he's what goals he has both in football and out of football. And I know he wanted to get stronger and be a little thicker, more prepared physically for the pounding of the NFL. And at the same time, I know what he wants to do off the field. His desire to go to medical school, and he's way ahead academically, to the point where he's got a chance to graduate the fall quarter of his senior year, which is amazing, to be human biology at Stanford University and graduate 2 quarters early while playing football. That's amazing. So I know he takes both of those very, very seriously. He'll load up on units again this year. That's just what he does. It's nothing new for him. At the same time, play high-level football. So it didn't surprise me because I know those are 2 things that he really loves. He wants to play in the NFL. He wants to play in the NFL bad, but he also wants to prepare his body for it. And at the same time, he wants to finish his degree.
Most coaches that I ask about the decisions, they say that they don't really help or advise the player to do one thing or another. That all the information. That's how you
Absolutely. And he's got great people, great counsel, people to talk to, both in our building. With Coach Gould, Ron Gould, our running backs coach, who's been around a lot of great running backs and could guide him there. For me, having this conversation with multiple guys that have left, guys that have come back, his family, but even having his friends, a guy like Christian McCaffrey, to bounce ideas off of. What do you think about this? What would you do? What did you think about when you went through this process? So he had a lot of people to pull off of, and he's a Stanford man. He used all of his resources and wait up until the last possible moment to make this decision. And I wasn't completely surprised, but he made the decision he thought was best for him and his future, both in football and out of football.
Health was a big part of the puzzle. You guys sprained Costello and was not able to go because he had to go. How much more clear?
Well, even over the summer, I get the injury reports and see where guys are, and we're getting healthier. We'll still start camp with a couple guys that are limited, which is fine. But it looks like we'll be full go by the time we start playing. KJ's going to be ready for day one to participate, which is great. I think Davis Mills may be a little bit after that. Those guys missed a lot of time, but at the same time, kind of forced them to watch again and use our virtual reality and put themselves in those 7-on-7s and some of those team periods. So it's a good time for them to step back and really watch and learn, and hopefully they get a lot of reps this summer.
How are Jesse Burkett and Sean Barton?
I think Sean Barton's a little bit ahead of Jesse. I don't know if Sean's going to start the training camp kind of like Davis Mills 100% right off the bat, but he's really, really close. He's doing all the running. He's doing all the exercises, maybe not with the intensity that we need for everybody to be at just yet, but he's healthy, and he's excited and ready to go. Jesse, I think, is a little bit behind that. I think we're going to be very slow and methodical. Jesse's a fifth-year senior, and I told him, we're not rushing anything with you. You've been through this before. You have nothing to prove to us as a football player on our team, as a starter, as a senior, as a leader on our team. You have nothing to prove to us. Let's see if we can get your body ready for game one. So that's going to be a slower process, which we're not going to rush. They're so different, and the calendars are so different. The recruiting calendars are so different, and we're dealing with such different numbers. I don't know how it's feasible. In theory, I think it's a good theory, but I don't know how it's feasible to go all the way to draft day, or even sometime close to draft day when our signing day is in February. I don't know how we go past that and be able to. Do we hold on to 5 scholarships? If 5 guys are going to test the waters, or 3 guys going to test the waters, do we not sign guys? And I think that's going to be the tough part for us. Whereas, do we get some relief from the NCAA? Can we go over 85, which I know a lot of coaches will want to do, but now you're going to have some incongruity to where, yeah, we have guys testing the waters, so now we can sign and have more than 85. Now we're going to have some teams with 90 players, 90 scholarship guys, some teams with 85. So that was thrown out as a possibility. So I don't know what the answer can be, because I think that's going to be tough for me to say, oh, a guy's going to go test the waters, so I'm going to save a scholarship. I'm not going to sign this linebacker that I really like coming out of high school. But then now the guy leaves. Now I didn't sign the guy. Now I'm missing a player. That's going to be tough for me. I think the NFL has done an admirable job, and I think we in college football can continue to help them and aid them in that, getting these evaluations back for our players to say where they're most likely to go. That for us has been pretty consistent, and it's been pretty good. Good indicators for our guys, going the first or second round, or going beyond, going past the first or second round, and helping those guys make decisions. So I don't know that going to test the waters, because they're not going to go scrimmage, because that's what they do in college basketball. They go to these camps and they actually play basketball against upper-level players. These guys are not going to do that in football. They're not going to go do a 9-on-7 someplace, or 1-on-1 against NFL caliber talent. So I don't know what that process can be beyond guys running 40s, et cetera, which for me only matters that much when it comes to draft status. So outside of having film and NFL evaluation of that film and advice from coaches like me that have experience, I don't know what more we're going to do after February going into the spring, because we can't take it all the way to the draft. I don't see that's not feasible to go all the way to April, and everybody's in spring football. The draft happens. 2 guys don't get drafted or don't like their draft status and they want to come back to the team. I don't know how you do that. Some would say that. I think there's a huge push from guys like me and a lot of coaches around America that don't want to see the end of the kickoff. I love kickoff and kickoff return. I really do. And just look at our history, from Chris Owusu, who was the best kickoff returner in America at his time, to Ty Montgomery, to Christian McCaffrey, to Cameron Scarlett, what he did this year, and the guys that we've had. So I think it's a big part of the game. It's a great part of the game. This fair catch rule, I think, is an attempt to see how can we salvage this. I think the NFL is taking a different stance on how can they salvage it as well. And I think we're going to have to see kind of the results of both of those, these experiments, to see what's best for the health of our players and the health of our game. I think it affects us all the same. I'm really excited about this new rule and what it can do for young people, because this is not just for my benefit, for the coach's benefit. This is for the benefit of the young people. And because what happens very often are 3 quick scenarios. Number one is a young man comes in and he's really good and playing really well, and you're excited to play him, and he gets out on the field and he doesn't play as well. So now you don't burn that redshirt. You can decide after a couple games, you know, he's not really ready. Now you can pull him back and still reserve that year. What happens to a lot of our guys is happened to Harrison Phillips his freshman year, where we decide to redshirt him, and then 2 guys get hurt. And now here you are in the middle of the season with a freshman that you think you have high aspirations for, and now you have to make that decision. Can we throw him to the Wolves? You throw him out there, and he plays pretty well for a couple of games, and those older guys get healthy and they come back. So what we had to do with Harrison was, well, we burned his red shirt. We might as well keep working him in, as opposed to, let him play 3 or 4 games and then pull him back out and still reserve the year. The other thing for me that I'm really excited about, which would have helped us a lot last year, I had a couple of defensive back injuries last year. And Paulson Adebo, we redshirted last year as a true freshman. By the end of the year, this kid was ready to play, but then he really burned a redshirt year for the last 4 games of the year, whereas he really could have come in and helped us. It would have been outstanding, but nobody makes that decision unless you absolutely have to. So now all 3 of those scenarios are going to work out for the benefit of these young people, to where, we can go out there and finish the season with a young guy, let him play in the bowl game if he's shown that he's ready to play, and still be able to come back and have 4 full good years to play the sport. So I think it's been a huge push by a lot of people in this sport, by the AFCA in particular. And I think it's a great rule for all of our players.
Virtual reality. Are there things that kind of take that next step?
There's no question. He got a lot of experience, got a lot of playing time towards the end of last year, but still he needs to continue to gain experience, and that's one of those things that's just great for your brain to be in there, be immersed in that world, that virtual world that is a real world, is a real people, and to feel that clock, that timing, and go through the reads and progressions. I think that only continues to aid on gaining experience, working on that 10,000 hours to become an expert at something. I think it's been very, very beneficial.
David, it seems like sports betting is on the horizon sometime in the future. Obviously, there's been a lot of concerns brought up with college sports when it comes to that. Do you have any concerns as far as your team or just in the future of college football having to do?
I have a lot of concerns about sports betting, and the element that I don't care about the actual wagering. Who cares? I don't care. It doesn't affect me one bit. It's those unscrupulous individuals that want to influence the games, influence the people involved in the games. That's where you get worried. That's where you worry about the integrity of our game when it comes to those individuals that don't care about the student athletes, don't care about the game. They only care about their monetary end and how they can improve their stance. That's where you worry. So I think we need to take a lot of steps precautionary-wise. I think once it starts to go from state to state to state, it's going to be very, very difficult to monitor. I think we need to educate our young people. I think we need to empower, whether it's the NCAA or have some conjunction with, start with the State Department and what is legal, what is illegal, what is punishable. Because one of the biggest criticisms of the NCAA, which is very founded, which is they don't have subpoena power. But now if this is such a big issue, which we're all kind of nervous about, and our government can step in and say, okay, great, the people that cross the line, these are now federal offenses, so now at least we have some covers for those people that do something wrong. Now it's not just the NCAA trying to find out. Now we have officials coming in, and there's actual jail time on the table for those people that unduly influence and put some of our people in a difficult position. The punishments need to be real in order to keep the game clean and safe.
Mandatory and available.
I would not be comfortable with that. I coached in the NFL for 9 years, and there is a stark difference between working with professionals and working with college kids. I do not feel right giving out medical information of a 19-year-old. I think it's wrong in any way, shape, or form. If there's something that the young man and his family wants to release, that's up to them. It's his health. But as far as institutionally talking about a young person's health, we have HIPAA laws that prohibit that. So I think it's wrong. I think it's unnecessary. And I think it would be catering towards the gambling and the betting. which we can't, in my opinion, do that. I think we need to be catering towards what's best for our young people and not worrying about a betting line. That's what I do anyway. So I know some coaches are not comfortable with that, and you guys get the stone face from them, and they don't tell you. If I know a guy's going to be out, I say he's out. If I know there's a chance he's going to play, I say there's a chance. And if I know, hey, this is going to be a game time decision, it's going to be a game time decision. I try not to play those games with the media. We don't get into specifics anyway. But I think it's up to each program to do that the way that they feel is necessary. And I don't believe it should change based on the betting laws changing. I don't think it's right.
Signing period is because of your like it.
I am not in favor of anything we do in recruiting that pushes it earlier and makes it faster. I think we're putting undue pressure on teenagers. We're mounting pressure on these young people in an era where there is too much pressure on them as it is. So I am not in favor of any of it now. It didn't affect us very much last year. We signed the majority of our team in December. There are going to be certain guys that we're going to have to see another test score on, or we're going to have to see more grades or first semester grades. And some of those guys are going to have to make tough decisions. Do I wait for Stanford to see if I can get admitted because it's not a guarantee, or do I take the bird in the hand? And we've had some guys choose one way, we've had some guys choose the other. So it does put us in a difficult position. For the most part, though, for those guys that are pursuing us, not just those that we're pursuing, it's worth it for them to say, you know, hold on to those other schools and see if they can get admitted. And if it happens after that December time frame, then it happens after. So we had a few guys that didn't cave into the pressure, that said, you know, I'm going to wait and see what my Stanford admissions is before I make my decision.
More teams go north of
100%. Because they're not real offers. If you've got 20 spots and you offer 300 kids, what have you done? I still don't know. I don't understand it, because that tells me that 280 of those kids can't commit. So it's not a real offer. So what have you actually done? So we've actually tried to offer guys that we are ready to commit, and we've been able to hold some guys off and say, well, I don't have a spot for you. We really like you. We don't have a spot for you, which now comes the difficult conversation. Well, I have all these other offers, and I say to them, are they real offers? Because those other schools have offered 299 other guys. Are you sure that that's a real offer? Or is our way of doing it more respectful to you, that we're only going to offer you a scholarship once we give you a spot? And this was guys like Justin Reed, guys like other guys that we really, really liked. But I don't like to over-offer, because every offer for me from Stanford is a real Stanford offer that a young man can commit to. So if I have 18 spots, I'm not going to offer 40 guys. You know, we may offer a little bit over 18, because a lot of guys that have to do some academic work that maybe not quite there yet. But to offer 5, 10, 20 times the number of scholarships that we have, it's asinine.
Bryce has.
Yes, sir.
Stanford and USC opened the Pac-12 season and closed it. They're going to do it again this year. Would you like to see the Pac-12 more strategic and potential ranked team first game of the year?
As a conference, we've had conversations about scheduling and different scheduling practices and different ways that we could do it going forward. Part of our issue is the combination of Stanford and USC playing Notre Dame. So while everybody else has a non-conference game, or has a conference game, we have a non-conference game, so it's hard for us. But we've talked about maybe loosening our mantra of having all of our non-conference games early in the year, and maybe having more later season non-conference games, so there's more fluidity of our conference, of play, going in and out of conference play. So that's one thing that's been talked about amongst other things. But it has been a constant conversation. And but for me, I think with Clay also, we'd love to see that game happen later. We're also good to have it early too. Both teams, once again, you play early, and if you play well after that game, even if you lose it, you have a chance, just like we did before, to work your way back into the Pac-12 championship game. That's a good question. I think we have a group of guys that I'm very, very excited about that have been kind of under the radar. The top of that list for me is Jovan Swan on the defensive line, who played, on and off last year, and this offseason for him, he's grown so much. He's so explosive and so strong, and excited about kind of being the guy in our front right now. Joey Alfieri coming back healthy. Just excited for him to get back comfortable at his outside linebacker position, wreak havoc out there. It's great to have Elijah back, and we think he's going to play at a high level as well. I think we have a big group of guys, and we brought J.J. Arcega-Whiteside today. And J.J. had a great end of second half of the year, in particular last year, some big plays. We think he's only going to be even better this year. Caden Smith, tight end, really a couple games last year was outstanding. We think he's going to have another breakout year as well as KJ Costello. So I think we have a lot of guys that have a chance to have outstanding years, that are poised to have outstanding years, but we have a lot of room to grow also. And we're still looking for a starter at left guard. We're still, have some unhealth issues on our fullback position and other guys on the defensive line. So we have some other spots that we're still looking for guys. We have some guys that are poised for big years.
Bryce,
2 minutes remaining with Stanford. We have 2 minutes.
Contained for a while and busting a long run. How do you explain his persistence that way?
I wish I could explain it. I have no idea. You never know when those plays are going to happen. The funny thing with him is you get to the point it's going to happen at some point. So we don't worry about whether 3 and 4 yard gains with him. At some point, he's going to break one. And what's unique about Bryce is a lot of those big runs, they're not untouched runs. They're runs where he has to break a tackle. He has to make a guy miss. And then his acceleration, I don't know that I've seen live on the field an acceleration like that since some of you remember Rocket Ishmael from Notre Dame. I have not seen a guy in 3 or 4 steps get to full speed like Bryce since the Rocket.
JJ talked about his internship with Condoleezza Rice. It's obviously a special opportunity for a guy like that. But the mixing of politics and football, is there a way to benefit the whole structure with that? So Gandhi wants to be in Stanford graduate as well.
Well, I think we have a really nice progression, a lot of different areas right now, but in particular in politics with Cory Booker. We've had a lot of guys meet with Cory Booker, and Cory's been on campus a bunch. Condi's done a phenomenal job. JJ's majoring in international relations, so that is a very fascinating world for him. And we got a few guys on our team right now that are going down that road as well, public policy, et cetera. And I think for us and to have the caliber of human beings that we have, I would love for a lot of our guys to get into politics because I think they could be great ambassadors for our country.
Thanks.
Yes.
How do you expect Trent Irwin to contribute this year?
I think Trent has been a phenomenal team player. I think his numbers are going to rise this year. I think the consistency at quarterback is going to help him. I think our desire to get our quarterbacks back over 60% completion is going to help him as well. He's one of those, and you hate to say that possession receiver is like a bad word, but he's a phenomenal route runner. He's got great hands. He can make tough catches. He's so dependable in those tight situations and on option routes and working the middle of the field and working outside. I think he and KJ this summer have really developed even more of a synchronicity, if that is even a word, that they feel very comfortable with each other, and I think he's going to have a breakout year as well.